Rushing here to get everything set up. I was chatting with Ben, got distracted. We also got a new couch last weekend, and I had to move my whole couch to get the green screen to actually work. So I'm gonna have to like play around with things a little bit, but is what it is. How's the sound? Is this a good bumping or a bad bumping? Sound is good? Okay, cool. I feel like it adds a little bit extra. It's one thing when you are like you have a guest and you're talking with somebody, and I feel like the sound can be a bit distracting. But when we're like kind of hanging out and experimenting, and it's just me, I kind of feel like this sound adds a little bit to it. I need to open up all my windows here. Stream. And where'd my dock go? Okay, we're rocking. Okay. So, Walton, were you on this the stream last time where we were doing Raspberry Pi stuff? I can't remember if that was. I don't remember. Yep. Okay. All right. The bit of a digression before we jump into OBS browser sources. So we were playing around with this yesterday, or not yesterday, last time. When I say yesterday, it means last stream. 7-color e-ink display, and we attached a Raspberry Pi Zero to it, and we almost got it all working. And I think I have determined that this does not actually work. That's a header extender meant for the display. If you need extra height on those pins, or you need extra height for that connection. So the issue why it wasn't reading was that this connection right here, the pins that are going through there are not making a good enough of a connection to actually properly read it. So I think that was why it wasn't coming up last time. The pictures that we saw had them soldered, but you can also get like a hammer through permanent header. So I picked one of those up. It was a $6 or $7 or something like that. So it wasn't too bad. So whenever that comes in, we'll pick that project back up. But for right now, that project is sitting on the side. Oh, I got a gap. I'm gonna fix that. That's gonna bug me. There we go. All better. Yes, Chrome, I understand you're not the default. So we want to play around with browser sources. So OBS is the streaming software that I use and is pretty commonly used by streamers. And they just had and video recording too, actually, like content creation. They just had an update that OBS, GitHub, I guess, upgraded the embedded version of Chrome. And it went from, going off of memory here, but Chrome 75 to 95. You order your zeros with pins already soldered. Yeah, I didn't. I've only ever used the bigger pies, which have headers. So I don't know. Never really thought about it. And like most of the like, I haven't done combining small electronics before. So like most of what I've done is the hooking up a small electronic thing and using it like a little server, and or hooking up to display and using it as a little computer. So more of the software networking side of things. So I think this is my first time that I'm using more like primitive components and combining them together. So it's been pretty fun. I'm definitely not interested in picking up soldering though, so well, I'm gonna do my best to avoid having to fall back on that. Okay, where's the release? We want the not to sidetrack me. I mean, at this point we're kind of already sidetracked, but we want to look here. Okay, I wanted to confirm the versions. Yes, 75 to 95. Yep, Raspberry Pi W with headers. Yeah, I saw a forum post that was that mentioned either doing that or this permanent header that I got, which pulled it up real quick here. Whoa, where are you going, window? Over here, over here. Of course, it just went on sale. 30% off at $3, man. Yep. So that's what we're gonna try. This little header piece there. So with the update, does it make it more performant for OBS native browser sources? Yes, in the consideration that there's performance gains within Chromium from 75 to 95. The original issue that was blocking updating it, and the reason it was so far behind in Chromium, was that on top of Chromium they add like some browser acceleration, or is it GPU acceleration? They had some performance acceleration enhancements on top of it to make it work well with OBS and just the way it's being used. But those weren't compatible in a bunch of the updates after 75, so they basically blocked them from upgrading because it I guess it was sort of unusable without those. And version, I don't know if it was specifically version 95, but I think somewhere in the 90s, upgrading came back on the table because they resolved whatever things had broken that prevented them from applying those performance enhancements again. So it's interesting. It should perform better, which is nice. Never going to say no to that. But it's interesting for me because now we can start looking at the new features. I think they do a compare browsers. Is that it? Yes. We can start looking at like what they've added between these, and we get to use more features basically. I think offhand, one of the big ones is some of the CSS animation stuff was. I just want a whole table. I select them. So you could get a whole table. Browser shown. browser usage table? No. Does anybody remember where? I was pretty sure you could see like a whole table of support for a specific browser. No, but I want browser stack. Feature index maybe? No. Index of features. No. Okay, this kind of is working. All categories. I know we did this. So we... Oh, they added KaiOS. Interesting. I think that's number one. Oh, I can't figure it out now. Let's see if I can... Yeah, I remember being able to do that, but I don't remember how now. So we did it. So I'm involved with a project called Tari, which is the short and sweet. I think if you check them and scroll. Oh, really? Okay. Oh, how did I get back to that? Compare browsers. Check, scroll. Oh. Yep, you're right. Yeah, so this is where we start getting into lots of no's become lots of yeses. Oh yeah, you're right. All I needed to do was scroll. Anyways, what I was saying was that project uses it's to make desktop applications relying on the system web view, and knowing what the system web view supported for the like major operating systems that we're supporting. Like we wanted to know the Venn diagram of what's all supported between them. So on Windows, it uses like an embedded version, like a system edge. Most everything is probably going to be on that at this point. On Mac, it uses the Safari WebKit, and on Linux or Ubuntu Starnix, it uses GTK, which is a flavor of WebKit. As I understand. So being able to see the features that the Venn diagram of features between all those different browsers is helpful. Okay, so what do we get? Is there anything? I'm just curious, like what this update could have enabled. Prefers color scheme. Probably not helpful. Flux gap. I did see something about it. Yep, gap property for Fluxbox. Bunch of the content visibility, image orientation. I mean, some of the CSS math stuff might be nice. But I think whenever I've been doing browser sources, I mean, at some point I just fall back to expecting it to be 1080p and not bother doing it responsively. CSS counter styles. WebXR device API. Interesting. Offline web applications went from yes to no. Interesting. Okay. The web HID and web serial. I don't think I know what those are offhand. Okay. Is there anything specific with that? I can't think of anything offhand that I would be interested in playing around with, at least in the scope of things I can put on the stream and dance around and look fun. Communication with the serial device. Doing interesting things like debugger tools. It would be kind of cool to do like a like little electronics and have those do things in response to like chat or what have you. Yep. Yep. CSS appearance. So they still have a bunch of partial support for this. Okay, I don't think that's really going to be nice at all. So I guess the last bits are these. Position sticky, display contents, streams. This is kind of interesting. I don't know that it would be something. I mean, I guess we're mostly working off of sockets anyways, so streams wouldn't help too much. Like this might end up being something that's used within tools that make it work more efficiently, but I don't know that it would be fun to play around with that at all. Web animations. And I think this is probably the big one. I don't think there was much as far as CSS animations go before. Like I'm not familiar enough with partial support to full support, what that actually opens up, but I'm guessing that's probably where we end up getting our biggest gains as far as like fun things that we can do. So it seems like all the WebGL stuff had like full support in 75. I suspect it's probably faster or more performant now. But feature-wise, I don't think there was anything that we would have lost if we would have played around with that prior. So as far as the WebGL stuff, what I'm interested in is the we were talking a little bit about it on the last stream. Blender is a 3D modeling, a modeling program, and it can export GLTF, which is a newer file format that you can render in via WebGL and like import that as an element that it uses. And you can add like, I'm not great with the terminology in the modeling world, but when you're doing animations, you can add like animation points or something where you can like hook into and move, like if it's a person, you can basically like move their skeleton. Rigging, yep, rigging I think is the word I was looking for. Thank you, Walton. And pulling that into WebGL, I think we can also access that. And assuming it works well as a browser source in OBS, we could theoretically have like a chat command that pops up a full 3D thing rather than relying on a video or something to do that. So it'd be like a more interactive version of like 3D elements on the screen. So like you might see people use After Effects or like screen transitions that have 3D elements, but those 3D elements I'm presuming are probably all just video files, and they just are. I mean, that's fine. It looks they still look cool, but that a little bit extra flair of having it be dynamic, kind of real time, change in response to what people are typing would be really nifty. All right. So as far as browser stuff goes, I think it's the animations. We'll be able to do more with it, and we can rely a little bit more on the. Did it have grid stuff? Did it have full support for a grid? So subgrid is the new grid stuff, right? CSS grid layout. Yeah. I didn't realize 75 had it though. So like support. Wait. Oh, I had deselected 75. Grid. Yeah, it looks like grid has just been supported, supposedly. I thought the grid stuff came along a little bit in the more recent versions, but I guess time flies. So, those COVID years, it feels like it's recent, but really it was like 3 years ago. Okay, so part of the reason that Ben and I were chatting was we were looking at doing some experimenting with showmychat. And well, I want to do the grid inspector was added in the dev tools in 62. Yeah, that is, wow, that's real early. That. When did that come out? Is there like a Chrome? Let's see how good Google is. When did Chrome 75 come out? 2019? I guess it's time is an illusion. I mean, for being real, 2019. I guess it makes sense that it feels like more recent than it actually was. So I want to do some stuff with like Blender and WebGL and rigging and whatnot, chat command kind of stuff. But I think that'll probably be future streams. The thing that I wanted to get into a little bit was so showmychat is what we're using here, with a little bit of a customization, CSS customization on top of it, with the help of Ben. No, I want to go to GitHub. And so right now I've got, so this blue window-ish right here, that's actually stream elements. Yes, thanks for the link. Let me, boop. This right there is stream elements. Myself and the display are direct sources in OBS. The chat is a browser source from showmychat with a little bit of CSS, and then this is all stream elements. So I'd like to redo a bunch of this, but sort of the first step is basically Ben's just powering everybody's stream chats. It's not, it's hard to point. That's not horrible. But this looks so much nicer. Y'all did a good job, Ben and folks. So good job. If I want to remove the use of stream elements and make things a little bit more custom, you're welcome. Yeah, it looks a lot cleaner. And there's a bunch of different themes too. They're doing a great job there. Uh, if I want to remove stream elements, not out of principle or anything, just I want to do more custom things. I'm gonna need to deal with alerts though, and I don't think I really want to deal with alerts and just general chat stuff. Like I think it makes sense for me to just continue using the stuff that y'all are doing with showmychat. So it'd be nice to do alerts, and that's kind of what Ben and I were chatting about before I realized it was time to stream. So showmychat uses comfy.js, made by InstaFluff, and InstaFluff and Folk. They got a bunch of contributors. Nice, Jason. I didn't realize Jason made a contribution. And this is built on top of TMI.js, and it is all relying on the Twitch chat, which is an IRC relay. So we were kind of chatting, and I'm like, oh, it would be nice to add the alerts. And it turns out that I didn't even realize this, but the IRC relay doesn't do Candy Stripes Dark. Is that a new one? I don't think I've seen that one. I don't know that I've seen that one. Ooh, that is newer. I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. Yeah. I kind of take that aesthetic. I don't know that it's something that I would use, but I dig it. Nice. I dig your, if you're still here, Peruvian Idol. Dig that too. Mind chat. Oh, nice. The pixelated hologram. Front end horse. If y'all are, I think all you are familiar with Alex Trust. I think I can do. He streams at Alex Trust, right? Maybe not. I thought so too. Trust codes. Yep. I think you can. I think y'all can do this. Shout out too. Okay. And I mean, I guess while I'm doing that too, we might as well. See if I actually remember your. Man, I'm not having any luck. Can you correct me? Please and thank you. Is it semantics dev? Semantics dev, isn't it? Okay, so I think I use cards. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. Blast. This is why and the other thing that trips everybody up too is they all think you stream under the one you're logged into right now, Ben Myers. But nay, you have your own branded thing. Or the second account. Yep. Okay, so yeah, the delay. Yeah, I've seen it in real time a bunch of times now. So and I just did it myself. The okay, so show my chat right now is correct me if I'm wrong, primarily just chat. And we were talking about what it might be like to add alerts. And using Comfy.js, which also uses or which is built on top of TMI, it doesn't actually have follows, which is unfortunate. And it sounds like we probably would have to do some Twitch auth to deal with that, which would be painful. The things it can do is gotta move my mute button. We can do commands. Rewards also requires extra permissions. So that's probably something that isn't going to. So that I think that would be channel point redemptions. That's kind of something that you need to set up your own thing for. Which I mean, I guess is another question. Like you could basically stand up your own Netlify instance and just give it an environment variable. But it's unfortunate that like we can't just put it all into show my chat directly. And I think Ben mentioned this too. So I don't think anybody wants to try to do auth through client side. That sounds icky. Please don't do that. Okay, so raids, cheers, subs, resubs are all potential alerts, but we wouldn't get the follow, which is kind of unfortunate. I am a little bit like, what could we do? I think so stream elements is pretty common too. Man, pretty sure my stomach's growling. Sorry if y'all can hear that. Actually, is it dev? Yeah, might make sense to and like if it's just a little piece, if it's just a little piece, like somebody could add this endpoint to their their website or whatever on Netlify, or just stand up an instance of themselves. They wouldn't have to stand up the whole of show my chat, and then show my chat would just it would basically end up act kind of like a proxy. I guess is probably the best way to think about it. And that's probably the only reasonable way to do that. Because I think even so stream elements is the oh my goodness. Let's see if water makes a difference. I think stream elements also requires some auth for this kind of stuff. I was looking at this earlier, but I think this is technically version 1 still, and I don't see any like updated updated docs for. I'm pretty sure they have a V2 now. Oh, I guess they say V2 here. So maybe that's just unclear. So maybe this is current. But it seems like everything requires an auth token as well. So I think no matter what we would do, if we want to have follow alerts, we need to auth. And that likely means that we need to proxy through somebody else's endpoint to do it. I wonder how that works though. let's check out the Twitch API directly. Is it expecting a socket? I think you can proxy a socket, can't you? That just sounds enjoyable. Embedding Twitch authentication. So what do they have? I was just checking if my stomach made a big growl. I was making sure it didn't pick it up on the mic. Yeah, it doesn't sound fun to proxy a socket, but I think everything else sounds great. Because apparently I am incredibly hungry and I should have eaten before I started. But we have better things to do. Food can wait. I kind of feel like this is gonna be like proxy socket is gonna kind of be our only Express server, really. Yeah, so it's doing a bunch of song and dance. Okay, so this would actually let somebody do their own auth. I have a thought. So in OBS, is this so there's plugins for OBS, like one of which is, I think I can drag this over. You can do, well, I guess it doesn't really show much. You can do like a WebSocket server built within OBS. I kind of wonder if, so like when I also run this featured.chat, and that's what does the little pop-ups. So like if I can click the button and it does that. And this is a doc in OBS. And when I first click on this, I actually have to click a button to do an auth. So that might potentially be an option. I don't know where it stores those auth credentials or anything. So out of curiosity, there is let's see how cursed this is. So different browser, different like auth scopes. If I add this to sure, we'll bring it over. Y'all can see my some of my setup here. I thought this was supposed to go away. The black hole infinity thing. So like if we would just add a browser source here, test delete me later, because otherwise I will forget to delete it. I think you have to enable. Oh, really? Oh, really? Interesting. Okay. Let's check. I mean, we're doing OBS stuff today, right? That's not actually a distraction. So if I go to this and this, capture cursor. I don't see it actually within the properties there. Do I have to switch capture methods or something? Curious. Oh, actually, this is probably in the way too. Anyways, you couldn't see it. So like we drop a browser on here. This docs are actually, we're starting to get here. This doc has its own like auth context, as does this, but we can actually click interact. And now I've logged into it. So I'm interacting with it on this right here. This is getting really convoluted, but which is now logged in there. So maybe a possibility? Are we all good now? Okay, featured.chat. Yep. So like we could potentially build it into where I'm not sure how long that session sticks around. So it might actually be something you would have to like log into every time, which would be painful. But is that more painful than standing up your own server to do proxy socket stuff? Yeah. So if we end up having to do some auth anyways, I'm kind of curious how it might look to look at stream elements, because they've got this. We're gonna bring this back over here. They've got this. So I've got stream elements docked within my OBS down here, and they got this feature where you can click a button and it'll replay an event. Did that actually do a sound? Yep. I guess I just don't hear it on mine. Did y'all hear this sound? The alert sound? Yeah, yeah. That's kind of nice. It's to like be able to test it. Even for people working on showmychat, but also me adding it as a browser source and making sure everything's all lined up and everything. Like it's nice to be able to test it. And if we use Twitch directly, we don't have that. I'm not set on using stream elements though, which is why if we have some sort of proxy thing, we could have, if showmychat is basically just saying, hey, I want to connect, do your thing and connect to this proxy and give me an event, and all showmychat is doing is responding to events. that would let us open up the option where somebody could connect to via the proxy and their OAuth on their end. They could connect to either Stream Elements or Twitch. The Twitch API directly. So like that's not a, I don't think that's a bad option. And I am curious like how long this will stick around. So I'm probably going to leave this source in here. We'll see when I get logged out. I'm assuming that I'm probably going to be logged out by next time I open the stream because this doc here off. This doc I have to log in every time I open up. Well, every time I stream. Potentially every time I open up OBS too. I haven't paid too close of attention. But to do that through browser source and this clicking the interact button, that's painful. So it feels like proxying is probably the best way to go. How much time we got? Maybe 20 minutes? I think if we're thinking of these events just as general events that you could use, Ben and I talked about this a little bit, but you can use query parameters to opt into specific events. That's potentially something we can spec out real quick, assuming I can learn a levity on the fly. So we will see how quickly I can learn a levity. Forky. Now, what are we working with? So when I get into a new code base, I've looked through it a little bit. It's not the best way to learn a levity. I believe it. I believe it's some of the new serverless stuff you've been playing around with. It's cool. I've dived into horrible code bases without any prep before. Not saying this is that could have been a very, that could have been implied. It's not implied. I'm not worried though. We'll figure it out. So what I usually do is package JSON. Yeah, exactly. First thing I usually do when I get in a new code base is look at the package JSON. Functionally, I kind of know how levity works and how it's kind of put together. We've got this is the kind of experimentation I like to do. This is part of why I like doing the stream, because I get to experiment and play around with things that I normally would not make time to do. So we've got a bunch of commands. This ns is an alias that I have in new shell that spits out the package JSON scripts. So this matches this. Then looks like we are using npm. I don't see any specific mention on the version of npm, but if you look at a lock file, it will tell you what version of the lock file it is. And version 1, I think, is still npm 6. Is that the expectation here? Node 14 npm 6? And also, I probably should have looked at the contributing guide, because knowing Ben, they've put more into this than I think about. No npm 6, node 14. Okay, cool. So we can do, I've got Volta. Volta helps to manage your node versions, much like MVM, node version manager. But it can also handle npm and yarn, which is handy. So my defaults right now are 16 and 8. But we are going to use node 14. I'm not sure why Starship has thrown an error there. Volta is just a little bit small. Install npm at 6. And I've got Starship set up here. So it should be telling us once npm downloads, confirming that we are using npm 6 and node 14. So as suspected, we're basically going to be running the dev command and we get a server that 11e is standing up for us. There's a themes directory and that's where all the themes go. This is pretty typical to see. I think Nikki actually set this up. I usually just try it with my local default versions. Yeah. The reason I don't anymore is because there's a big shift between 6 and 7 plus with npm. And yarn v1 to v2 and v3. So I don't just YOLO it anymore because of that. Also, thanks for stopping by. Nice. Yeah, I saw Nikki working on it. It's the work that needs to be done, but is sort of thankless. So I very much am thankful for Nikki doing that. Style lint, markdown lint, oh, that's all nice. Okay, so I think for the most part, we're just going to do an install. And you can see here on my prompt, I've got package JSON is version 1. We are on node 14 and npm v6. And while that's pulling up, I forgot to open up my code window, but we can look at the code a little bit. In my playing around and looking before briefly, that's not what I wanted to go into. Is it chat? Yeah, so I think this is most of what's driving it here. And we're pulling in comfy.js as a script tag. And then these other scripts in that other script folder. This is 11D stuff, and it's very much like liquid templating, I guess. Does it actually use liquid? Doesn't. Does it? I'm not sure. This also feels like Jinja, I guess. If anybody has a background with Python things. We got some docs, themes. Okay, themes are purely CSS, which is nifty. I'm going to assume that okay. So we've got what would be a good like mental model for this? It feels a little bit of like what PHP was doing with you make like fragments of HTML and then you can use included statements too. It does use Liquid by default. Okay. And Liquid is a templating engine. So what it's doing is it's taking the HTML files Using Liquid or Nunchucks, it will combine all of these, almost like a more complex version of like a search and replace. And it will take all these fragments of HTML and combine them into like a single file. And it ends up letting you do like for loops on some of this. I think these are all like specific pages. So like if we would go, okay, this is done. Open up our code. I think you can do like a template of a page, and that you can feed it data and have it like do multiple pages from that one template. From what I know of 11D. And that's kind of like running a for loop that creates a bunch of HTML pages. So I think we'll close that. Do we? Oh, I'm like, man, this is taking a while to open up. Another window. Okay, now we want to do npm run dev. The search and replace mental model is strong. Great. It's definitely a very interesting like way to do things, and like that mental model has seemed to stick around, and it kind of comes back in cycles. Like we'll do a thing and find it falls down, and then we're circling up. I think if anybody was in Jason's stream, what was today, Friday? Earlier this week, maybe Tuesday? Jason was talking about and I'm not going to remember who he was quoting, but it feels like we're going in a big cycle, but in reality it's more of a, like if you're looking top down at it, it looks like we're just spinning around in a circle, but in reality it's more of a 3D thing where we're circling up. And it feels like templating is definitely always, it's been one of those like core pieces that we keep coming back to and having new thoughts and ideas around it. Okay, so we should have a server, localhost 8080. src docs has pages. Colophon is a page, and index is the home page. The overlay is src chat box. And from Ben's wonderful stream on Jason's stream the other day, I have some understanding of, okay, this is this serverless stuff. Is this 11D doing that? Is 11D serverless setting up the nullify functions for you? That's kind of nifty. So we don't have a markdown file here. You can make pages from markdown files, which is something that Ben just said. And in the front matter, which is this chunk of text up at the beginning, front matter is effectively YAML embedded into markdown. And there's an option here to tell 11D that this needs to be a serverless page. And it looks like, since chatbox.html is an HTML file and we don't have the front matter, you can do it via this. Gotta cough again. Drink time. It generates those functions. Nice. And we've customized them. Okay. Your delay got really bad? Yeah, maybe. I've definitely noticed. Gosh, there was a. I think I was watching Cassidy's stream a week or two ago, and my delay got to be like 2 minutes or something wild, like that. And like I didn't notice for the longest time, and then I was like, man, these chat messages are just not lining up at all, because Cassidy has like, like this, and what I was seeing in the chat wasn't matching that at all whatsoever. And I was like, that's odd. And I looked at the window, and I was like, oh, you can look at the video stats, and it was, yeah, I was behind. Okay, so we've got we're pulling in this. It looks like we're doing a bunch of scripting here. Handled chat appears to be the thing that is handling chat. Under scripts, handled chat. Since it's a script tag, we're gonna kind of have to think about global scope here. We've got some query selectors that get us to the right elements. We pull in from some utilities. Yep, okay. There's even the note here, which is helpful. Comfy.js is a global thing, so we can probably do comfy. Yep. And not terribly uncommon, there is comfy.js in the global scope, and it's doing a function, and it's doing some event listeners, I'm assuming. Just having to scroll more than I'm expecting to. Maybe it's turned down under the hood and we're not seeing it. Init, comfy.js init. So I'm guessing what this is doing based on the functions that you're passing it. You're passing it kind of an object with functions, and it's going to use those functions and invoke them anytime an event hits. So I'm presuming what it's doing is this comfy.js init is setting up a whole handful of event listeners, and those event listeners, when one of these things happen, debating the yes, I've thoughts, not worthwhile to like dive into on stream, but the event listeners work fine, but I feel like it leads to this happening easily. Like just that architecture makes this happen. So what I'm guessing what it's doing under the hood is setting up event listeners for each of these based on which functions are not, or which properties in this object are defined. And anytime you get like a, which is actually kind of cool. I didn't realize there was an on-deleted. So if I would delete do I have to do it through Twitch? I might have to actually like open up the Twitch chat. I don't think I could do it in the doc. Yeah, so what comfy.js is doing here, I think is fine for what they're trying to achieve. But the way this is set up with these events, it gets hard to handle the situation. Like if you get a raid, especially if it's like a there's obviously good and bad raids. So if you're unfortunate enough to have to deal with hate raids and you get a whole bunch of like hate follows, which I think is a thing. If you delete a message on Twitch, it'll remove it from the overlay. That's sweet. That's sweet. This event listener setup doesn't let you do queuing very easily. And maybe they have it built in. I haven't looked quite closely enough at comfy.js to know. But like it just gets really hard to like debounce and queue and do all those things with just like a pure event system like this. So I don't know that the thoughts are specifically on how you have it set up here, but maybe more on just the architecture of comfy.js in general. I'm curious if or how they're dealing with that at all. I guess they don't have follows, so like that would be the big thing. Like it's much more unlikely for you to have to chain together a bunch of subs. I mean, I guess depending on who we're talking about, but the programming streamers definitely don't. I was pulling up channel, I guess. Programming streamers definitely don't get quite the viewership that other audiences get. Queuing is rough. And I think, okay, can I not? Ooh. Is that mod options? Mod view maybe. Yeah, and I don't know if it's like, is it a TMI JS thing? Like to address that, how would you address it? With their setup and not exposing any of the event listeners, I don't know that there is a good way you can address it. Yeah, exactly. It's that because that's kind of your only option. Clearly, I've been fortunate enough not to deal with deleting messages. I don't even know how to do it, to be honest. Well, I'll believe you. I'm assuming they just disappear. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so we wanted to see if we could just spec out something real quick. We're actually running towards the end of the day. Feel free to delete this message if you can delete your own. If you can't delete your own. I never want to delete any of your messages, Ben. Yeah, I honestly have no idea how to do it. Ban. I mean, there's Jan. We'll just hope that I don't have to deal with this in the near term and to delete messages. Follower looks like an event sub similar to cheer and subscribe. Yeah. Like I'm not particularly keen on like rewriting everything that exists. It could be nice to rely on comfy.js. But having to do the auth stuff is unfortunate. And not being able to do it through comfy.js is unfortunate. Okay, so what do we got going on here? We've got on chat. Message deleted on ban. In your chat view, there should be a settings gear. I wish it. Oh. In your chat view, there should be a settings gear. Open that and toggle show mod icons to true. And that works in the dock too. Is okay. Not that one. Here we'll do push the messages down. That one right above that one. Cool. Cool. So that's basically when we click that button, it is through TMI.js. It is, I'm assuming, connecting over sockets, is receiving an event for on message deleted. Query selecting on that specific HTML element, which they have a data tag with the ID of the message, I'm assuming, and then it just removes it from it. And I'm guessing a bunch of these are in the utilities. Yep. Makes sense to me. So we are doing... Oh, remove all messages from user 2. Nice. Message to delete. So I'm guessing there's something built in within Comfy.js that has where someone deleted either spam or bigotry and it lingered on their overlay. Yes, yes. And I think actually the stream elements overlay too. I was like, I don't think I have a way to delete anything off of here. So I 100% appreciate thinking about that up front. Nah, 200%. I've been lucky enough not to have to deal with any of that, and I know there are people that do. So I'm glad that exists. All right, so what time we got? Let's see if we can do. I think we're going to still want all of this enough that we can. It's gonna, the deletion skip is gonna get overhauled with an upcoming PR. Okay. Yeah, and I mean the whole event setup and kind of callback thing that goes on with the way Comfy.js is architected is like it works well for I think what they built it up from and what they were trying to do there. But it feels like it could get unruly pretty quick. All right, we're gonna copy this, and we're gonna call it. Yes, I know you're not happy about that. We're gonna say alerts. Alerts, permalink serverless C channel. I'm guessing that's query parameters. Boop. Oh, it's the actual URL. So we've got some where'd we go now? Oh, I forgot. I was thinking I was on showmychat here. The channel ends up becoming a parameter that we can use. 11D serverless path channel. And that yes, that makes sense to me. I'm just looking how it gets fed in. So can you do this templating within the JavaScript? That's the thing that I don't know offhand. Like if I just search for this, yeah, it doesn't look like it. So I'm guessing what you're doing is you're kind of using the, where did my, here. You're kind of using the DOM as state here. You're passing in this data Twitch chat. And then in your JavaScript, you can pick up on that, and that's how you can pull from the correct channel. Oop. So if I would go to this, come on, DevTools. You can't currently do templating in JavaScript. Okay, that was the feeling that I was getting. So we get this via 11D gets pushed into here, and now in JavaScript we can just read that directly out of the DOM. So our DOM is kind of serving as state. And now I think when anybody types, yep, we're getting just straight up chat here. Look at window.config as well. Is that in the handle chat? Window.config. So it looks like you are creating a config object on the window and using that to, that's kind of your other local storage. Is that, yeah. Does that sound correct? Just show latest message equals window.config. Kind of looks like it. Makes sense. I see what you're putting down. So we are going to do copy, paste. We're going to do handle alerts. I think a bunch of this we can probably strip out. We're going to go right down to the comfy.js stuff first, though. We don't need to worry about the messages. I think we are going to. So there is some command stuff in here. Show any commands. Is there? Hide messages from. Show commands. So when you do a command, it's anything, I think it qualifies anything as starting with an exclamation mark. And that then becomes a command, and instead of falling into the bucket of on chat, it then falls into the bucket of on command. And that's what this option does, show the commands or not in there. Config is set initially in checkbox and consumed. Oh, it is the HTML. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, query params. Query params set up the config, which is dropped on the window object. So we get via query parameters a window object called config with our options. So then we can pull that and potentially mutate that within our JavaScript. We're just going to strip out a bunch of this. We basically just want to like worry about this for the moment. And I think what we're going to do is I'm not going to worry about any of this. All right, so since it's harder to test live the other types of alerts that you would want to do, what are the options that we have? We have on sub, resub. For the most part, these are going to be, I guess they are a little bit different. I think we can make a general function though that for the type of alerts that we would put in showmychat, just presuming here, it's probably going to be kind of the same format for all of them. If you want to do anything more, that's probably something that you'll end up pulling in and take care of like custom. So I think we could just make a general function that then can be applied to sub, resub, raid, etc. So right now we'll just say command. We are getting back these things. And there's going to be kind of an overlap of user message. Command is a little bit irrelevant here. And some of this stuff probably makes sense to deal with as well. But like I think it probably makes sense to have one function that just handles it all. And we've got our alerts here. So what it's doing is it's actually injecting DOM elements within this UL. So for the most part, our layout is a bulleted list. I really gotta move my mute button. I've been slowly switching my setup around over the past couple weeks, new hardware and whatnot. And I did a bunch of things last night, and I've got a button on my mixer, mute, but the way I have it set up in OBS doesn't actually mute. So like I think it actually changes. Like if I click mute, no, it doesn't change it on there. It's only the mic mute. So anyways, I think we just roll with this for the moment. And window config, show commands. True, yes. I am not involved on the front end enough that I know. I mean, I guess that doesn't even, I don't even know if I need that qualifier, but I'm much less familiar with the like newer semantic elements. So I appreciate that thought. Show allowed commands. I mean, I think all we really want is if show. Okay, so we've got a nested thing going on here. So on a command, we're basically going to get, like if I just comment all this out. Oh, they're actually positional. Oh, that's kind of no bueno. That'll make it a little bit harder to make a general command, but if we just log this out, now if we do a command in chat, that's probably my issue right there. Handle alerts. Oh, I forgot to switch this, didn't I? Handle chat, handle alerts. Browser sync refreshes, doesn't it? Like I don't actually need to refresh it every time. So I'm not. Oh. No. No, I thought for a minute there it was showing up in the terminal over yonder. Type error, cannot read property null of get attribute. Are you missing a create parameter? Mm-hmm. I don't think so. Comfy.js, init. On command. Should be logging out the user command and message. I did save and I did reload it, right? Reading good attribute at 10. That's what I forgot. Thanks for the follow. Ellie ConXO. Is the XO part of your name, or is that like a XOXO? Ooh, what did I just change that to? Yes, I want alert. I don't think. Yes, it is. So watched channels. Okay, so the Comfy.js init is actually relying on the data attribute within the DOM to initialize the right channel. Okay, so now we're connected. WebSocket via Comfy.js. You should be able to do a command, and there we go. So now we can so this, can you do multiple? So comfy.js is, we've got this like global object. We're attaching functions to it, and we've got a comfy.js.onChat. And then when it gets an event for the chat, it will run that function and pass it these variables. Does this override it? That must. So basically, if you have does that? I feel like that would override it. So like I'm presuming that you can only have one on chat per like instance of comfy.js. We've got one here, and if you, it will get to the on. I wonder what it's doing in this and that. I feel like that would actually like overwrite the one that we have above. But if we look at the chat, what it's doing is where it's creating an element. So like direct DOM manipulation, correct? Only one on chat. So then how does the, so if you have on command enabled, show this command, wouldn't this, wouldn't that kind of blitz all of the work that you have up here? That's how I'm reading it. So like if you have show this command enabled, so if this comes back as true, now your chat is only going to be that command. Is that, am I reading that right? So we're gonna kind of be doing the same thing here. What are we getting to? Should probably be finishing up here pretty soon, but MDM dialog. What are the elements with it? That's invoking my on chat, not overriding it. Oh. Yep, I gotcha. So we have since set up. I saw that and I went, oh, we are reassigning it. But what Ben is saying is I scrolled up too far. We are setting comfy.js.onChat to a function here. I completely looked over the fact that we are then taking that and straight up invoking it. So the event will come in through on command, and we're basically passing it off to the on chat and letting that handle it instead. Okay, so we're just gonna dialog. That's what we were doing. So I guess the dialog is just kind of anything, right? I mean, I guess we just do. So this, yep, is assembling the message node here. And then at some point, we're effectively like building up a DOM object that then gets appended. So we could probably yoink some of this to get us going here. And we'll call it user. Guess we'll just do P's for right now. User and message. So like we could effectively do the same thing too. Like pass it. I guess it probably makes sense just to have a general function and then pass it when we assign the on sub, on resub, on all the other events. We just give it the function directly and we map the variables there. So user, what was that? Class list. Right. I'm not gonna worry about each CSS at the moment. Oop, no, I wanted to copy this. And then we do an append to there's a query in here somewhere, right? So this is building it up. So new messages like the container for everything. So it ends up effectively being something like new alert dot append child user. Oop. I don't know that I like this, but so now we should have this new div, which contains two like text elements that we can then I guess we basically append it then. And we'll have to worry about like removing it and debouncing kind of stuff. I guess if it's sort of just messaging, we could do some things. We can do some things with that and basically just like get up a queue. Every time we get an event, we'll get an event and we'll just drop it on the stack. That would probably work, something like that. Then we wouldn't have to like redo a bunch of it. All right. And you are pulling chat box from, that was the top level one, wasn't it? Yep. And we still have it. So we're going to call it alert box instead. Oop. Append child. And invoke the dialog. So we got that. Alert box append child. And we've got it. guessing our CSS is making it not visible. There's definitely something hiding it. It's there. It exists. So it's something. Why isn't it showing up? I'm not seeing anything that would lead me to believing it is being hidden by something. Height, overflow hidden. Background color. Open attribute needs to. Oh, because there's dialogue. Yes. Thank you. Yes. So what we could do then is say alert box dot open equals true. And it's just going to stay up there forever. And we could do, because it is Friday and I don't feel like trying to remember how to do set timeout. Thank you, copy paste. I guess, I mean, I forgot we're not doing the whole React thing. Set time mode is much simpler when that's the case. I guess after 4 seconds, sure. We'll go with that. So this should go away after a couple seconds. And then I think from there it's kind of just CSS. We probably want to like hook it up and to the CSS that exists in this like themes folder. So we get the same, you know, I presume that if you choose one theme for your chat, you're probably going to want to use the same theme for your alerts. So I think it would make sense that they mirror each other. And like this obviously is not going to scale. So I guess it's not terrible if we do boop 1. It's not awful. It's not awful. Oh, and it's actually going to stack too. We're going to keep getting them too. We need to like reset that every time. Delete the DOM element. So we're just stacking them up. So we need to delete the DOM element as well. Besides just marking it as closed. So I think for the most part from here, it's a bunch of CSS work and probably some sort of like queuing to bounce kind of situation. So And then however we want to figure out how to do follows, that's the thing that's, I guess, still up in the air. The rest of this seems reasonably straightforward. Enough that we can open up an issue with some code and something to talk about. Those follows, it's unfortunate though. It's too bad, especially since everything else goes through the IRC relay. It's odd that the follower does not. Is that just me? But cool. Dug into some things. Thanks for all your help, Ben. It was fun getting into it. I think it's really interesting too, the how the server 11e serverless is setting up all the Netlify functions. Did not expect it to be doing a bunch of this. Granted, there's a little bit of elbow grease on top of it. Guess we don't really need that. So yeah. Any questions? I feel like we learned a few things here. Man, that follower thing really is. Yeah, you're welcome. It's nice to talk through this stuff too. Yeah, well, and I'm doing is an append now here too. So they're just gonna keep queuing up. So there's an issue with them disappearing, and there's an issue with them not like clearing out. So we need to like rip them out when this is erased. But like this isn't going to scale either. I'm gonna just delete this. Make some notes here. Swap this for proper. Is it to bounce? No. I guess it's a queue. Delete DOM element after it is finished. Probably would be easy enough to just delete it rather than trying to. So if you have a queue, you could theoretically mutate the elements that are there, but it's probably easier just to delete it and drop the next one in. So yeah. Oh, you know what? I'm typing and talking at the same time, and I didn't even realize I was on that. That would be that would be what I typed as I was talking through it. We would need to swap out this, but it works now for to show what we were kind of getting at. So to your point, message 1. So browser sync is actually refreshing it too. So we did 1 message. Now here's 2 and 3. It's stacking them, and it's gonna cut it out after the previous 4 seconds. So the first set timeout to trigger is gonna hide it. So you're very much correct there, Welton. So more work to flesh that out a little bit, but I think there's enough there to like give an idea of what we can do with it. Because then you can start doing things too, like do is like I don't remember my animation stuff offhand. Pen child open true. Can we do? Guess we could probably just straight up do it on here. Alert box dot style. You just do directly on here. Query selector. I don't do enough like vanilla JS to know this offhand. I guess this is all done via classes, eh? Inner HTML, class list. Yep. So what time we got? I want to see how the CSS is brought in quick. Oh, that was easy. Makes sense. Makes sense. Feels like keeping the same CSS style sheet might make sense, but I could see it going either way. All right, I think it's time to get back to the stuff that pays the bills. Thanks everybody for stopping by. What do we got? Been rating Peruvian Idol a bunch lately. Anybody else have any suggestions? Otherwise, I think just continue showing them some love. All right, I think I could just do type right in here. We'll find out. Nope. Slash commands. Right? Yep. I don't think I've ever done it through text before. Learn things every day, right? Cool. Thanks for stopping by, y'all. See you next time.